What are they going to eat? Where are they going to live? What will happen to them if they're not very well? And who will their friends be? And once you can satisfy those 4 hygiene factors, if you like, of living in another country, most school systems tend to think about education being done to the child. So at CSFC, we actually deal with doing things with the child. But I seem to remember the nasi goreng.
Right, of course.
I remember soto.
Soto,
Stew,
yes.
Kind of a soup
yes,
with meat.
It's a soup, right.
And I'm going to say, it was like a salad with a satay sauce. I'm going to say gado gado.
Absolutely right.
Did I get it right?
Gado, right.
Okay.
Hai teman-teman, selamat datang lagi di podcast Bersama Education. Hari ini kita akan ngobrol bersama orang yang sudah berpengalaman banget nih di bidang pendidikan internasional, khususnya di Inggris. So, hari ini kita sudah ditemani oleh Mr. Gareth Collier selaku Director of Dukes Colleges, di mana hari ini kita akan explore beberapa informasi terutama mengenai 2 sekolah mereka yang terkenal banget, Cardiff Sixth Form College dan St. Andrews College. So, Mr. Collier, thank you so much for joining us on our talk today. How are you this fine day?
I'm well, thank you very much. Delighted to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me onto the podcast.
Of course, our pleasure. So I would like to start off this interview that we have today. Maybe you could explain a little bit more about Dukes Education as a group, and what do you do and what sets you apart from other education in the UK?
Okay, good, yeah. So Dukes Education is a relatively new group. In fact, it's celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. So it's a young, vibrant company. It's a house of brands that has gathered together a number of schools and colleges and educational businesses under one house, if you like. Why is it different? I enjoy working with Dukes Education because it's values-led.
I see.
It has 4 clear values, and they would be that we lead with heart, we are a team, we love learning, and we do it well. Those are the 4 basic tenets that we keep together in all of our schools and all of our businesses. And you can see there that it's quite unusual to have educational businesses that are values-led. I haven't mentioned money, and I haven't mentioned profit, and I haven't mentioned any of those things. We are doing all of this for the children. That's not to say it isn't a profitable business, education is, but it's a values-led business.
I see. So, as I understand, Dukes Education has a broad network of schools and colleges. So, how do you ensure consistent academic quality across this really different groups of schools and colleges?
True, and it's also very different because all the schools and colleges, we have nurseries, right through preparatory schools, senior schools, high schools, sixth form schools and sixth form colleges. So you can imagine that parity or equity of standards across all of them is quite difficult. So one of the unique things about Dukes Education is that when it absorbs or buys or gathers an organisation under its umbrella, it doesn't try to change them. It doesn't try to make them dukes. They continue exactly as they are under the leadership and the vision of the management. And so the standards are set uniquely with each individual organisation and the Dukes governorship. However, one of the exciting jobs that I have this year is to set a series of Dukes teaching standards, which we can then put across all of the schools and colleges to ensure that we can deliver the 4 values that I mentioned earlier. So very exciting and very interesting and quite different to many other educational organizations.
I see. So there is a standard, but the schools and colleges, they do have their own identity, and Dukes doesn't try to change them.
100%. So if you look at most of the websites, or almost all of the websites of the individual schools and colleges, you just won't see Dukes mentioned at all until the very end page, where it just has an endorsement mark, if you like. We are very much our own individual schools and colleges and individual brands, and Dukes are supporting us. It's a house of brands, if you like.
Oh, that's lovely. So for international students, especially Indonesian students watching this, what kind of students typically thrives in Duke's environment?
Okay, interestingly, so it's a very broad church. There are from 0 right the way through to 22 years of age in some cases. And as you'll imagine, young people change greatly over that period of time. I would say in the older age group, where students are coming for maybe the last 2 to 3 years of their education, the students that are most successful are those that have learned to take responsibility for themselves and for their own role within their educational journey. Those that are still dependent on parents and other people to guide them and help them, they take longer to transition into getting what they want from education in the United Kingdom. So those that are ready to come, those that are choosing to come, those that are playing a role in the decision-making process about coming to the United Kingdom and who accept that there's a big responsibility here to work hard and do well, then those students absolutely do better than anybody else.
Okay, so are there any support offered for students, international students? Because you mentioned responsibility, but Indonesian students, they could maybe feel a bit burdened. Can they actually adapt to the Duke's way of learning? Are there any supports that Duke's provide for international students?
Absolutely, and I need to say straight away that I'm here in Indonesia and it's a lovely place to be, but Indonesian students are the same as students anywhere around the world. When they come to the United Kingdom, there are pressures upon them to achieve, particularly when their parents have invested so much money in them to be able to achieve their greatness. And I think most, if not all, good schools in the United Kingdom have fantastic support networks for pastoral management and care. Cara Dukes College, the college I was previously principal of, actually won the Pastoral Care and Management Award for the Independent Schools Association for the way that they handle young people. And in fact, in 2024 was Independent School of the Year for boarding school experience for international students. So they've learned how to deliver a quality experience for young people. If I may add to that, one of the things that I look for when my children were looking to travel in education, having done the research about schools and academically what they can do, I look for a few key things. What are they going to eat? Where are they going to live? What will happen to them if they're not very well? And who will their friends be? And once you can satisfy those 4 hygiene factors, if you like, of living in another country, you will find a good fit between the child and the school.
Right. So let's talk about the two most well-known, if I could say that, schools from Dukes Education, which is CSF and St. Andrew's College. What makes this institution stands apart from the others? Okay,
fantastic. Thank you very much. So as a previous principal of Cardiff Sixth Form College, or CSFC Cardiff, I'm probably very well versed to speak about that, but also I'm a director now of Dukes Education, where St. Andrew's College is part of my remit as well. They're both very different schools. So Cardiff Sixth Form College is well known to be the #1 academic school in the United Kingdom for A-levels, and they've been #1 in the UK over the last 13 years. So very high achieving. Sending students to top universities in the UK, in the US, in Hong Kong, and the rest of the world. So for those students, they're delivered a very high level, very intense, very rewarding academic program, where students are typically getting 3 or 4 A stars at A-level and going on to great institutions. It's very selective, and so students must pass particular tests to get into the school. Whereas for St. Andrews has a different way of being. And that's why we fit so well into the Duke's House of Brands, because they're all so different. So St. Andrews is a relatively non-selective school and has a whole range of courses that take you through for A-level, pre-A-level, and through the foundation courses as well. And St. Andrews has one of the broadest and best resourced set of foundation courses in the United Kingdom. So you can see fitting within the Indonesian market, Cardiff Sixth Form College and St. Andrews College, they fit nicely together. It's quite difficult not to be able to find a place within either St. Andrews or CSFC for the right student.
Okay, so as you've mentioned, CSFC has a very high achieving environment, if I can say. What kind of academic support systems are in place to help students achieve those academic goals that they have?
Okay, good. So everything is done, first of all, in partnership with the child. If most school systems tend to think about education being done to the child. So at CSFC, we actually deal with doing things with the child. So it's all in discussion. So each pupil, each student sets their academic journey with a personal tutor called a head of house. They will meet with them pretty much weekly to talk about where their focus must be for the next week or few weeks. universities. And that focus is not just academic. In fact, it's really academic. If we focus on the support mechanisms, the things that will help to make a child suitable to go to top universities, the academic just rolls along because a child is motivated and wants to be there. So if we talk about where they want to go to university, what sort of career and future they want to have, and where their hopes and aspirations and challenges are. Once the child understands what they are, they work backwards to say, well, hey, I need to get better grades in my mathematics, or I need to work harder at my chemistry, or my history needs a little bit of a boost with some wider reading. So you can actually support young people through sensible, open conversation where they become the decision makers, if you like. So very good systems in place.
Yeah. Okay, so touching upon St. Andrew's College, what kind of programs and strengths does it offer for international students that maybe Indonesian students should also know about?
Absolutely. So, as I said previously, the foundation courses at St. Andrew's College are fantastic, really good. And they are 1 year or 9 month foundation courses where students can come and just do the top up from their Indonesian education. You can take that 1 year or 9 months, if you like, to top it up in order to go to universities in the United Kingdom. The range of universities that St. Andrew's supports and encourages students to go to is very broad, and they're incredibly supportive about sending students to pretty much anywhere to those universities. It's a very welcoming environment. We have a lot of Indonesian students who have gone through St. Andrew's College in the past. And of course, Cambridge is a very nice city in which to live.
Yes.
It's a small town, but actually it's the academic capital, if you like, for the United Kingdom. So an excellent place to be.
Okay, so we've talked about progression, which is one of the concerns I feel for international students. How do these two colleges maybe support students in their journey towards top universities, not only maybe in the UK, but also globally?
I think it's a very good question. Very often when young people come to us, and their parents as well, very often there is a lack of understanding about what it takes to get to a top university. So really clearly we have to start speaking with the young people, with the students themselves, and with their parents as necessary to set out a level of understanding and expectation of what needs to happen if a child wants to go on to Oxford or Cambridge University, to Columbia or Harvard or Stanford, or to Hong Kong University, one of the toughest universities in the world to get into. It doesn't happen just by following the curriculum, by doing the A-levels. There's a whole load more that has to be added in here. And having parents understand where the pressures will be, and having the young people understand how much more they have to do to be able to get into the top universities is really important. It's not a tick box exercise. There is a lot of effort involved. And very often young people will see how much effort there is, and they will tailor where they want to go to on what they think they're able to do, or how much effort they can put in a particular direction. So if, for example, your English score of IELTS is going to be 7.0, yes, many universities are open to you. But it needs to be higher than that if you want to aim at the very top universities. So you need to be pushing yourself to go beyond the 7.0, 7.5 level. If you're wanting to go into top universities for medicine in the United Kingdom, you have to understand what type of student you are, whether you're the sort of student that likes the traditional lecture approach, whether you want a problem-based learning approach where you're given problems to solve early on, or whether you're more integrated and you want to do a little bit of each. So understanding where your strengths lie and then translating them into the right university course and the right university to go to is really important. And both Cardiff Sixth Form College and St. Andrews do that very well.
Wow, okay. I felt like, it's not just like pointing the direction on where you should go. It's really knowing what steps you should take and the decisions. Like the students should be really well informed of what decisions they want to make and what goal they want to achieve.
Absolutely.
Right.
We have a little acronym in Cardiff Sixth Form College, which is the 3 Bs.
The 3 Bs.
When a student comes to us at the very beginning, the first B is that we stand before them.
Right.
So we're in the way of any obstacles and challenges that come, and we help them to start to understand where their journey must go. And then when the young people start to take responsibility and they know kind of where they want to go and what they want to do, we use our second B and we stand beside them to help them to understand where their journey is. And when they come to a point where they really know what they're doing and they're really taking charge and leading the process, We use our third B, and we stand behind them.
Right.
And if we remember, are we before you, beside you, or behind you? Using that acronym, then the young people themselves understand where they are in the process and how well they're doing in the decision making and in terms of taking responsibility. And it's very supportive to understand that system.
Oh, okay, that's really lovely. I feel like that's gonna stick with our viewers, that 3 Bs. So we previously talked about the support that Dukes Education provide for international students in terms of accommodation, right? So for students coming from Indonesia, living abroad could really be a big adjustment. What kind of accommodation do you offer, and do you ensure students feel safe and supported there?
Absolutely. It's one of the most important things that we have. If students are happy and comfortable where they're living, then they will be happier, more comfortable workers.
Yes.
But the range of accommodation is different within each of the schools and colleges.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in Cardiff Sixth Form College, all students will actually live in single ensuite rooms where they have their own bathrooms. Some of them have their own eating areas if they wish, but all of them have their own room. The main reason for this is that young people are being prepared here to go to top universities anywhere in the world where they have to look after themselves. And if they have to look after themselves, we need to help them to learn how to do that. Yes. Whereas those students that go to other schools and colleges, and St Andrews is one of these, then they have different types of accommodation, which isn't quite of that standard. So they can have their hand held for a little bit longer,
right.
Live more communally with fellows, have shared bedrooms and shared flats if they wish, or even live in homestay if that suits them best, and they can be looked after by a British family. So different types of accommodation will suit different types of people, and different types of accommodation will suit different types of vision for the schools and colleges.
Okay, well, that's lovely. So talking about delve deeper than the accommodation, I'm going to ask about catered meals. What about catered meals? Are they included in the package, inside the accommodation package, I mean? And how do you cater to dietary requirements, such as maybe for our Indonesian Muslim students who need, of course, halal food? Okay,
yeah, excellent. I think that I love this question because I love food.
Right.
And actually, we spend a lot of time working with young people to work out what it is that they want and what it is they should have.
Yes.
And also in helping them to adapt to the country that they're going to. So the United Kingdom, then obviously British food's important.
Yes.
Even though it's not very spicy, even though it's fairly bland, we have to learn how to deal with it and cope with it. But I think one of the most exciting things, also to answer your first question, the food is included obviously in the package. You can't have children coming to school not eating. They won't be healthy, and they won't be concentrating on what they should be doing. So we provide food for them. And this comes in different ways. Sometimes the breakfast is supplied within the boarding accommodation. Sometimes you come to the dining hall for it. Lunch is provided in the dining hall. Evening meals are provided in the dining hall. So there's plenty of food that's there. One of the exciting things, though, that we do in Cardiff Sixth Form College in Cardiff is that every month a student is able to be selected or to offer to become the chef of the day.
Oh, I see.
And
that's fun.
It's fabulous. It's really fun. And they go and work with the kitchen staff and the chefs there and teach them about how to cook or make food that comes from their local area. This helps to give some cultural understanding for all those people that are not from Indonesia, for example. And I had the pleasure of being principal when an Indonesian student was chef for the day in Cardiff at one point. And I can remember, and forgive me if I get this wrong, okay? But I seem to remember them going and working with the chefs and helping them to cook things. And then the whole school gets to eat what the chef of the day has worked as a good menu.
Right.
And then the chef has a little room where 12 of their friends sit and have a private dining experience with the food that they've designed. And again, forgive me now, because I think that what they made, there were many things, but I seem to remember the nasi goreng.
Right, of course.
I remember soto.
Soto, yes.
Stew.
Yes.
A kind of a soup
yes,
with meat.
It's a soup, right.
And I'm going to say, it was like a salad with a satay sauce. I'm going to say gado.
Absolutely right.
Gado,
right?
Okay. So I can remember what it tastes like. Remembering the names are not so easy. So that was the Indonesian one. But this has happened for many cultures, many different places, including British students coming in and taking over the kitchen for a day. Obviously, this is an occasional thing. There is a set menu which rotates every 2 weeks. Yes. But the food is good. The food is wholesome. But what I will say is that for young people coming to the United Kingdom to live and study for the first time, you won't like all the food.
Right.
Yeah, but wherever we go in the world, I come to Indonesia and I love most of the food,
yes,
but some of it I don't like.
Yes,
yeah?
of course.
So we have to be prepared not to like some things, and that's not a bad thing either. Learning to cope and learning to be resilient is a good thing.
Yeah, I never thought of meals as a way to adapt to a new culture. So this is really a really inclusive, I feel like, experience for the international students.
Absolutely.
In Dukes Education.
Yeah. And people make friends. Making friends through food is a great thing. And you've got something to talk about. And when later in the year, when students come back to the chef and say, we had nasi goreng. Why haven't we had that again? You think, hey, we've made a difference from Indonesia just here. That's good.
Wow, okay. Well, Mr. Collier, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for making time to talk with us, and to our viewers who are absolutely excited to study in the UK. If you could maybe share a bit of an encouragement, word of encourament for international, especially Indonesian students who wants to study in the UK in the upcoming future.
Of course, absolutely. So the UK is open for business and welcomes you with open arms to come to study in the UK. What I would say is that there is no such thing as a bad school, but there is such thing as a bad fit. So make sure that you know two things when you're choosing your school in the United Kingdom. Obviously, know your school. Do your research, work with agents, work with partners, work with people that can advise you properly. But the second thing, and probably the most important thing you need to know yourself. Know what makes you tick, know what you like, know what you don't like, know how you work and how you need to challenge yourself in the future. But above all, be brave. Make that step. Come to the UK. It's a fabulous place to study.
Wow, what a way to wrap our talk today. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Collier. Kalau teman-teman yang sedang menonton ini ingin melanjutkan untuk kuliah di UK, terutama di Cardiff Sixth Form College dan St. Andrews College, jangan lupa untuk konsultasi langsung dengan Sun Education yang bisa membantu teman-teman mewujudkan impian kalian. And I'll see you guys on the next episode.